Welcome! Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful idea. What if connecting with the divine isn't about becoming some totally different person? What if it's actually about finding and embracing who you already are, your culture, your language, and yeah, even your past?
I mean, really think about that for a second. Of course you can, right? We do it all the time. A simple look, a gesture, just the way you carry yourself, it sends a message. And it kind of makes you wonder, maybe the most profound communication, both with people and with God, happens in that space beyond words.
This idea brings us to this amazing concept from the Pacific Islands, the war cry. Now, don't just think of it as some loud shout. The whole point is that it's not supposed to come from your throat. It has to be this raw, powerful expression that comes from deep within you, from your gut.
So let's explore that a bit. This shout, which is called a chiao, is so much more than just a noise. It's a completely physical act. The whole goal is to force out every single last bit of air from your lungs, right from the bottom of your core.
So why on earth would you do that? Well, in a battle, it's about projecting your entire being. When you push out all that breath, you are literally showing your full power. You're not just making a sound. You are putting your entire life force out there to intimidate your opponent. It's a statement.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because this very physical act of breathing has incredibly deep spiritual roots. We're about to see how a cultural practice like this connects to a huge theological idea about who we are.
Okay, take the word aloha. We've all heard it, but the speaker breaks it down in this beautiful way. Alo actually means breath, and ha means life entering someone. So in a traditional Hawaiian greeting, two people literally press their foreheads and noses together and share a breath. It's this profound acknowledgement that your life depends on the other person.
And doesn't that sound familiar? It connects directly back to the creation story. Just like God breathed life into dust to create Adam, that aloha greeting is an intimate person-to-person act of sharing that very same life-giving breath. It's a powerful reminder that our life isn't just our own. It's this shared divine gift. Which brings us to a really crucial point. The image of God isn't something you get later on. It's built in. It's part of your factory settings, created in you from your very first breath. The Holy Spirit doesn't come and install a new image. It comes to confirm and kind of wake up the one that was there all along.
So, if we all have this divine image, how does it show up in the world? Well, that brings us to our next section. The idea that our different cultures, our languages, and all our unique backgrounds aren't just random. They're actually divine gifts. They're the very channels we use to express that image.
To get this across, the speaker tells this wonderful story from his family. He starts by describing his mother, who's white, through his daughter's eyes. And to his daughter, Grandma is like plain white bread.
Then he talks about himself, a man from Fiji. His daughter looks at him and says, "Dad, you're like burnt bread." You know, it's just this funny, brutally honest way a kid sees the world and their different backgrounds. But here's where it gets so beautiful. When he asks his daughter, "Well, what does that make you and your sister?" She says, "We are perfectly toasted bread." You see, she doesn't see one as better than the other. She sees herself as this unique, perfect, beautiful blend of both.
And that is exactly how the Holy Spirit works. It doesn't have just one language. It speaks all 7,000 languages. It gets every little cultural nuance, your specific family history, your quiet body language. It meets you exactly where you are, speaking the language of your one-of-a-kind design. Now, this all sounds amazing, but let's be real. Discovering and living out this authentic identity isn't always easy or comfortable. And that brings us to our fourth point. Sometimes real spiritual growth comes directly from being in uncomfortable, challenging situations.
The speaker shares a deeply personal story to illustrate this, and it all starts with this number: 2 years. That's how long he had to wait to get approval from his future in-laws to marry the woman he loved.
See, at first they rejected him because he came from a different culture. But instead of just fighting it, he chose to respect their culture and wait. And in that incredibly uncomfortable 2-year wait, something amazing happened. They ended up asking him to baptize them. They asked for his forgiveness, and finally, they gave him their blessing.
A story like that really challenges a common way of thinking about God. Is it that we're fundamentally broken and God comes to us because we're sinners? Or, as the speaker suggests, is it that we are made in God's image and God comes to restore that original, beautiful, and incredibly valuable design that's already inside of us? And this is such a key takeaway. We shouldn't just be looking for the Spirit when everything's calm and peaceful. So often, we're desperately looking for that connection when we're stressed or facing a huge challenge. And it's right there, in those difficult moments, that the deepest growth often happens. Okay, so all of this, the breath, the culture, the hard times, it all brings us to this final, really empowering takeaway: understanding and truly embracing your unique design. I want you to really let this sink in. Every single part of who you are, your heritage, the language your parents speak, even the painful parts of your past, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It is the very material, the unique blueprint that you can use to express the image of God in a way no one else can.
There's this profound Maori saying that just sums it all up perfectly. To understand where you're going, you have to look back first. You have to embrace your history, your ancestors, your story. That's the foundation of your authentic self.
So we'll end with this question for you to really think about. Instead of always looking outside of yourself for God, what would happen if you looked within? At your own unique story, your family, your heritage? What beautiful, unrepeatable expression of the divine might you find waiting right there?